Before I even start this video, I would like to extend a thank you to Kobe, Shadow, Light Chaosman, Dave, Aaron, A. Dudney, Angrier Pat, Beatbop Joe, Battlebee, Colby, Ethel, From Dark Hell, Hexamu, IK4MS, KZ, Natsu, Mike, Oridian, Splitzel, Answer Umni, as well as anyone that had a hand in this mod pack. I've delved into Borderlands 2 Reborn mod pack lately and have had a blast doing it. It offers many new cool weapons to use in the place of older uniques. Since I could not find any information on a lot of these, I figured I'd put a small guide out there as to some of the weapon changes. This video I'll go through the pistols added in Borderlands 2 Reborn mod pack. The first gun added here is the Disciple. The Disciple replaces the Judge, so you can get that from Assassin Oni. The Disciple is another elemental Jacob's gun and appears always in the slag element. This gun has an increased crit damage, as well as an odd effect for a Jacob's gun. It fires a 2-round burst when zoomed in, and a 3-round burst when not aiming down the sights. Next up is the Silver Wing. The Silver Wing replaces the Lady Fist, and this time you can only get it from Wilhelm. The Silver Wing reduces the crit damage down to 100%, but has a damage increase to counter that. It also consumes 2 ammo per shot and shoots in an upside down V-like pattern. Next up is the Aries. The Aries replaces the little Eevee and now drops from Rue the Love Thresher. This is a remake from a gun in Borderlands 1. The Aries has a much higher damage than the little Eevee, as well as an up in DOT damage and chance. As well as that, it ups the splash damage it puts out. The most interesting effect this gun has is that it functions as a transfusion grenade. So each time you deal damage, transfusion healing will spawn that gives it sort of a Moxie-like healing factor. Next up is the Violator. The Violator replaces the Pocket Rocket, so you can pick this one up from any Torg vendors. This is Aaron's take on the Violator from Borderlands 1, and is a pretty cool one to use. It has a 3-round burst that shoots 3 projectiles, and seems to have a slight fire rate boost, and it also has a much larger mag size. Up next is the Luck Cannon. The Luck Cannon replaces the Rex, so you need to farm Bolstas to pick this one up. You probably remember this gun in all of the OP Nisha builds from Borderlands pre-sequel. It only has 1 shot per mag and puts out a bunch of damage. This gun also explodes on impact, as I've noticed as well. Any mob enemy should die in 1 shot to this easy. Next up is the Clipper. The Clipper replaces the Tinderbox, so you're pretty much guaranteed to have this drop from Captain Flint. This is a remake of the original Clipper from Borderlands 1 that you could get very early in the game. It spawns with a melee attachment every time, similar to how it does in Borderlands 1 as well. This gun does not have the annoying bullet arc and generally will put out more damage now, with a faster reload and more splash damage. Next up is the Komodo. The Komodo replaces the Dominator, which you can now get from either Muscles or Thermitage. This gun is another one of those Fibrillite guns added in this pack. Once it hits a surface, it splits into a bunch more rounds. Unfortunately, this gun only comes in the corrosive element, but it is still super powerful against loaders, so I've seen. Next up is the Akoo Leus. The Akoo Leus replaces the Gub, so pick this one up from Laney White. In its mod notes, it says it's supposed to function like a Borderlands 1 revolver, although it doesn't really feel that way to me personally. It consumes 3 ammo per shot, and its fire rate seems a bit strange, where it has some bursts that are much faster than others for some odd reason. Other than that, it feels like a Gub with a slow fire rate. Next up is the Music of Life, which replaces the Gunnerang. You can still get this one from Rackman. The Music of Life has a larger crit damage than that of the Gunnerang, and a much better accuracy. That being said, I do not like this gun. The reloads of this gun do not hit enemies, but instead actively seeks you out and tries to kill you. which is the total opposite as the Gunnerang and makes absolutely no sense to me. Next up is the Synergizer, which replaces the Logan's gun and you can pick up from Wilhelm. Everything I have noticed about this gun is that it seems to act pretty much exactly like the Logan's gun. It has a noticeably larger mag size as well as better damage. Other things that are of note that I have not tested is that it penetrates enemies and that it ricochets twice. Next up is the First Word. This gun replaces the Maggie and you can pick it up from Mick Zafford. This gun ups basically all of the stats for the Maggie with a higher damage and crit damage. It also is another one of these Jacobs guns with full auto, taking away the fires as fast as you can pull the trigger. It's pretty much just a highly buffed Jacobs pistol. The next gun is the Electric Wind Godfist, which replaces the Thunderball fists and you can get from the Flints as well as Flay the Tribute of Southern Shelf. This gun is awesome and is probably my favorite one added so far. It is the coolest possible effect. It knocks your enemies back and stuns them. It's basically a Sledge's shotgun from Borderlands 1 on steroids. It has a much slower fire rate, but it's worth it. Next we have the Rockstar, which replaces the Unkempt Herald. You can now only get this one from Piston or Badassosaurus. Interestingly enough, this gun fires in the pattern of a star. It also has an incendiary splash damage added to it. Mod text also says that it has a higher crit damage. It feels mostly like an even less accurate Herald. Still, a very good gun. Next up is the Hand Cannon, which replaces the Devastator. This one changes rarity and is now a legendary that you can get from Sinkhole. This gun is a bit odd. It has a super slow fire rate and a super fast bullet speed. It also has a higher damage than just the standard Torg pistol. It also renames the hand cannon Torg pistols to Explistals. Now we have the Defiler, which replaces the Infection. This one you can get the same exact way from the Hammerlock Lodge vendor. This is a recreation of the Borderlands 1 Defiler with a bunch of buff stats. So instead of the fast-firing Doll Infection, we have a slow-firing, high-damage Defiler. Lastly, we have all three pearls, all of which you can get from Cromrax, Loot Midgets, Oh My God, What the Hell, and just as world drops. First is the Cerberus, which replaces the Stalker. This one is a bit interesting. It fires in the shape of a triangle with 3 projectiles. Because of this, the accuracy is not all that great. Other than that, the stats are fairly similar to that of the Stalker. Next up is the Midnight Coup, which replaces the Unforgiven. This one basically just buffs the hell out of this gun to make it usable. It also includes the strange effect of having a 3-round burst while scoped in. Finally, the last changed gun is the Salvation, which replaces the Wanderlust. Personal opinion, I hate this gun. I'm not going to lie. I actually really enjoy the Wanderlust with the community patch, and this gun is just not fun to use, my opinion. It produces transfusion orbs that seek out you and your allies, and with the damage this thing puts out, you will think the transfusions seek out enemies to heal them. That pretty much wraps up our list here. Let me know if you have any disagreements, agreements, what you think about this mod pack, and if you haven't tried it out, please try it out. It's really just a blast, and they worked really hard on it. Next up will be rocket launchers, which will be a very short one because there aren't that many rocket launchers in the first place. Once again, remember to dislike, unsub, and report me for sexual harassment, and I will not see you in the next one.